Welcome to the English Archive, where language comes alive. Here, every story has a heartbeat, and every archive holds a feeling. Today, we invite you to follow the rhythm of the words. There's nothing to study or solve. Just be present and let the language flow into your mind naturally and slowly. You don't need to grasp every detail. Meaning will emerge through the story. Remember, the fastest way to grow is to listen. When you're ready, the archive is open for you to explore.
The Library of Silence, a short story for the English Archive. Elias worked in a very old building. It was called the Central Archive. The building was made of dark stone. The windows were tall and narrow. The halls were long and quiet. When people walked, their steps echoed like soft knocks on a door. Inside, the air always smelled the same: old paper, dust, dry wood, and something cold like rain on stone. Elias liked this smell. It felt safe, it felt serious, it felt important. Every day, Elias wore the same gray coat. He carried the same brown notebook. He walked through the same halls. He checked the same shelves. Books, papers, letters, old newspapers, old maps. Thousands of them. Sometimes millions, Elias thought. Elias knew these books very well. He knew grammar rules. He knew verb tables. He knew long lists of words. If someone asked him a question about English grammar, Elias could answer very fast, very clear, very correct. But there was one problem. Elias could not speak English well. Not because he did not know the rules, but because he was afraid. He was afraid of mistakes. When he wanted to speak, his chest felt tight. His throat felt closed. His thoughts became loud, but his voice became small. What if I say it wrong? What if they laugh? What if I sound stupid? So Elias stayed silent. He read, he wrote, he studied, but he did not speak. And slowly, this silence began to feel like a prison. Sometimes, when Elias sat alone at his desk, he looked at the tall shelves and thought, I know so much, so why do I feel so empty? On one cold afternoon, rain started to fall. At first, it was soft. Tap, tap, tap. Then it grew stronger. The rain hit the windows like small stones. Water ran down the glass in long, shaking lines. The archive became darker. The lights felt weaker. The shadows felt deeper. Elias was working late that day. Most people had already left. The halls were almost empty. Only the rain made a sound, and far away, the slow tick, tick, tick of an old clock. Elias was sent to the basement. The basement was not a nice place. It was colder than the rest of the building. The lights were yellow and tired. The air was thick with dust. Very few people liked to work there, but Elias did not mind. He walked down the long stairs, step by step. The sound of the rain slowly disappeared. Down here, the world felt very far away. The basement was full of old shelves, very old. Some were broken, some were bent. Some were so full of books that they looked tired. Elias walked between them with his small lamp. The light moved over titles and numbers, history, languages, letters from people long dead. As he walked, he noticed something strange. One bookshelf was not touching the wall. There was a small space behind it, a dark space. Elias stopped. His heart beat a little faster. He looked around. No one. Only dust. Only shelves. Only silence. He placed his hand on the shelf. It felt cold. Slowly he pushed. the shelf moved. It did not scream. It did not break. It moved easily, like it was waiting. Behind it, something shined, a thin silver line. Elias raised his lamp. There was a door, a small silver door in the stone wall, clean, smooth, new. This made no sense. Everything in the basement was old, but this door looked different. On the door there was a small sign. The letters were dark and simple. They said, "The Library of Silence." Elias did not remember this door. He had worked here for years. He knew the maps. He knew the rooms. This place was not on any map. Elias felt a strange pull in his chest, like the door was quietly calling him. He reached out. His fingers touched the cold silver handle. For a moment he did nothing. The rain was gone. The clock was gone. Only his breathing remained. Slow, careful. Then he opened the door. The light inside was soft, not yellow, not white. It was like morning light on fog. Elias stepped inside. The door closed behind him without a sound. He was in a large room, bigger than the basement, bigger than it should be. The walls were dark wood. The floor was warm. The air smelled clean, like rain and paper together. And there were people, many people. They were sitting in soft chairs. Some were lying on long couches. Some were near small lamps. All of them wore headphones. All of them were listening. No one was speaking. No one was reading. No one was writing. Only listening. The room was full of life, but it was perfectly silent. Elias walked slowly. His shoes made no sound. He looked at the faces around him. Young people, old people, people from many places. Some smiled softly. Some had closed eyes. Some looked like they were dreaming. Elias felt something warm move inside him. Curiosity, peace, and a little fear. "Hello?" Elias whispered. No one answered, but someone was standing near the center of the room. A woman. She wore simple dark clothes. Her hair was long and calm. Her face looked kind. Her eyes looked deep, like quiet water. She did not wear headphones. She was watching the room like a guide. Elias walked to her. "Excuse me," he said softly. She turned to him and smiled. "Welcome," she said. Her voice was slow, warm, clear. "This is the Library of Silence." Elias looked around again. "But no one is speaking," he said. "That is right," the woman answered. Elias felt nervous. "In my world," he said, "we practice speaking. We repeat, we correct, we study. Why is no one speaking here?" The woman looked at him carefully. Then she asked, "Why are you here, Elias?" Elias was surprised. "How do you know my name?" he asked. She smiled again. "The library knows," she said. Elias thought for a moment. "I know English grammar," he said slowly. "I know many words, but when I try to speak, I can't. I am afraid. My head is full, but my voice is empty." The woman nodded. "You feel like a prisoner of your own knowledge," she said. Elias opened his eyes wider. "Yes," he whispered, "exactly." The woman turned and walked slowly to a small table. On it there were many headphones. She picked one up. "You asked why no one is speaking," she said. "Let me ask you something. Can you pour water from an empty cup?" Elias shook his head. "No." She nodded. "To speak, your soul must first fill with sounds. We do not study here, we absorb. Language is not built only with rules. It is built with feeling, with rhythm, with repetition, with life. She looked around the room. These people are not silent because they are weak. They are silent because they are listening, and listening is not empty. Listening is full. Elias felt something break open inside him, softly, like ice in warm water. "But I always try to speak first," he said. "I push myself. I force words." The woman placed the headphones in his hands. "Then you are pouring from an empty cup," she said gently. She pointed to an empty chair near a small lamp. "Sit, do nothing, just listen." Elias walked to the chair. He sat. The chair was warm, comfortable. He placed the headphones over his ears. At first there was only soft silence, then a sound, a voice, slow, clear, kind. It began to tell a simple story, about a small boat, on a quiet lake, under a wide sky. The words were easy, the sentences were short, but they moved, like water, like wind, like breath. Elias closed his eyes. The rain was gone. The basement was gone. The fear was gone. He felt the sounds enter him, not into his head, into his chest, into his stomach, into his hands. The story flowed through him. No rules, no tests, no pressure. Only sound, only meaning, only life. Elias breathed out slowly. For the first time in a long time, he felt relief. Deep, quiet, real. He did not need to force speech. He did not need to fight silence. He only needed to listen, to fill his cup. And somewhere inside him, very softly, something new began to grow. Not words, not sentences, but a voice, a living one, waiting. When Elias opened his eyes again, the room was still silent, but it no longer felt empty. It felt full, very full. And for the first time, Elias smiled. Not because he could speak, but because he finally knew how to begin.
The story ends, but the language stays with you. Don't worry about the words you missed today. Those words will find you the next time you listen. To make this story part of your own archive, listen to it again tomorrow and the day after. Let the rhythm become familiar. Let the language settle. If this journey felt good to you, you can join the archive by subscribing. Until our next story, keep listening, keep growing. See you in the next archive.